What is this?
We're live.
Hi.
We're live. We're live.
Let's get it on
Oh
Patreon.
my gosh, the humans who live upstairs are so loud.
Bush now.
Oh my gosh.
Bush now. Alright, I'm gonna go restart this.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. I literally almost said good morning, but it's 2:46.
Oops.
Sunday's good. I've been up since 9 this morning.
That's good. I
That's
think
fine.
me too.
Mm.
Probably.
Loving. I just like my hair more and more.
That's good. Okay.
I chopped a little tiny bit off my bangs.
Oh, nice.
Maybe like a half an inch.
That's what I need.
Feeling fresh, feeling clean.
I don't even know how long my things are right now.
That's about how long mine were.
Trim. Hi, Rosie.
Good. Hello.
Good. Hello.
So bored and ready for this. We are here for
Amen.
your bored times.
We cure some boredness.
Quarantine just gives us these bored days. Lockdown. And Rosie's on strict lockdown.
I know.
You may not leave the house. She said good hello too.
I am.
Emily!
Needed something to watch / listen to. Well,
Oh,
you made it right in time.
so happy you're here. I haven't seen you in a while. All right.
Da-da-da-da.
We were showing our tattoos. We have to hold our arms at weird angles.
Yeah, I mean, if it's down, like,
Mm,
that's easier.
so cute.
So cute.
So cute. And I keep just thinking about, like, I know I just had to throw my book cover on the floor. I just keep thinking about the whole arm. Just whole
Yeah.
arm.
I told you I bought one of the tattoo artists I follow on Instagram was doing a special, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
so I have a $600 tattoo credit to use before June.
That's amazing.
What shall we do?
I don't know, but I want to come with you every time.
Hi, Trish.
Get it? I keep wanting to say good morning. I understand that it's not morning. I really get it.
Me and Trish are matching.
Cute. I wore mine last week, and it's obviously still in the laundry because that's how I roll.
Obviously. Oh no, they're on lockdown till the end of February. Wow.
I mean, but let's watch and see what happens. They won't have over 4,000 deaths a day.
True.
You know what I mean?
Wish we could have done that.
Instead, everybody here is just like, wee, nothing's happening.
True. Yay, first faces I've seen.
Zoe, what's up?
Oh, she made it to Princeton.
Oh my gosh, you're so far away. I'm so happy for you.
official.
She's back. She's there.
Just reminded Rosie of her laundry. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys are all here. This is fun.
I know I had to rewash my one load like 3 times this week.
Oops. Remember when Georgia didn't know that was a thing until Karen brought it up?
Did Georgia always just do her laundry?
She was like, "Oh, I usually just like left mine in there until I remembered it." And
Yeah,
Karen,
and then dried it all mildewy.
and Karen's like, "Did you ever like notice a smell?" And Georgia was like, "No."
I can so Georgia, I love her so
I don't
much.
care.
Oh, gross. No, you just rewash it.
Yeah, add just a smidge more soap in there.
So many times.
Okay, it's odd.
It is, and it's me. There's so many good ones.
I know. We're doing chapter 19 and it's freaking long, so.
It's very long. That's what she said. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No.
No.
Well, I mean, meh.
Rosie re-listened to chapter 18 before this.
She had to pregame it.
Oh, you guys don't know that Marin makes That's What She Said jokes constantly?
My husband, I get in trouble for it every time. Sorry. Okay, here's the thing. You know, we always do like a line read at the beginning of the chapter, and sometimes it's like very obvious, and I'm like, this is the line read I have to do. And sometimes, like today, I'm like, there's like 4 different options, and
There really are.
they're all good, but it's all like, which one is the one that I really want to do?
Also, if you guys are here for most of the time, don't forget to leave me your title suggestions. Cherish says we look studious.
We are studious. We are Hermione's. We're both excellent students.
In Britain, we call pre-game pre-drinks or just pre's.
In America, we have to make it sports related.
Yeah,
so
pre-game.
it's a pre-game.
Going out to the bar is a game. A game of wits.
Oh, okay, that's my idea. Ready? Really good. Professionals. How to explain that all these things I could do, things that came with such ridiculous ease because of what I was, were entirely meaningless. They didn't make me special or superior. How to show her that everything I was had never been enough to make me worthy of her, that she was the lofty goal I've been trying to reach for so long. I could only think of one way. I created a simple bridge and shifted into a new song. She watched my expression now, expecting me to respond. I waited until I was through the main structure of the melody, hoping she would recognize it. You inspired this one, I murmured. Could she feel how this music came from the very core of my being, and that my core, along with everything else I was, centered wholly on her? For a few moments, I let the notes of the song fill in the spaces that my words never quite could. The melody expanded as I played, drifting away from its former minor key, reaching now for a happier resolution. Just play that piano.
Change that from a minor to a major.
Y'all know.
Y'all know.
Guess what?
What?
New patrons!
Yay!
I would like to extend a very sincere and happy and grateful welcome to Becky from Michigan,
Diane from somewhere.
and Ashley from Florida. Ashley,
Welcome.
what's up, everybody? And thank you. All right. Ah,
Oh,
Oh.
all right.
your turn.
Oh, crap. I don't know. Skip. Fast.
I know I always start it. I was just waiting to see if you would.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
This is Emily.
This is Marin.
And this is
Remember Twilight.
Midnight Sun edition.
Chapter 19.
Home.
Home.
You.
Home.
Home.
What?
You know.
Edward knows.
He does. Last week, there was some in the bed things happening. Mostly sleeping.
a little bit of like snuggling though.
A slight snuggle,
Like
yeah.
some sweet snuggle, like let's talk about whether or not we could potentially have sex going on, which I think is extremely important, and I loved it very much.
A cute end to a weird date.
The weirdest thing about that date is like they were there at the house and Charlie got home and Bella was like, go hide. But they weren't doing anything.
Literally.
They were just sitting in the kitchen having lasagna. And she's like, go hide.
Yeah.
She didn't even say that, but he's like, should I hide? And she's like,
like, honestly, if Charlie got home and he came in and saw Edward and Bella sitting there in the kitchen, I mean, I understand Edward was wearing the ugliest outfit ever.
He
but
could have buttoned
gone,
his shirt up real fast.
Button, throw something, whatever. He's fast enough. He could have gone to the neighbor's house, grabbed the shirt, been back.
What if he'd gotten one of Charlie's flannels?
Charlie's just like looking at him over his lasagna. Never says anything, just
not a
looking at it.
Nice shirt, son.
Maybe only that. But like, they would have just been like, oh yeah, Edward came by and so we've been hanging out. And Charlie would have just been like, okay.
Also, I think he also would have been like, oh, I'm so glad she has a friend. And possibly a boyfriend. And it's the doctor's son.
Also, your dad gonna come pick you up? Because Edward's car's not outside.
I mean, none of this would have been an issue. The thing that's the issue is all the secrecy and all the hiding.
It's fine, Bella. We get it.
I guess.
Anyway, so it's nighttime. Bella's asleep. While Bella's been asleep, she's been like, I love you, Edward. I love you, Edward. I love you, Edward. What?
Uh-oh. Oh, just lay there.
Just over and over again. I love you. I love you. I love you. And so Edward spent the night. After the snuggle sesh, he moved to the floor by her, but he's just been reading her books, and he's thinking about tomorrow, and he's thinking about how Alice thinks that Bella's going to come over and meet the fam.
You know, I just think it's really nice and generous of Alice to give Edward a little bit of time with Bella before she swoops in.
She's like, all right, so me and Bella are having a sleepover, actually. Bye. And he's not sure if like Bella would want to do that, or if he wants it to happen.
It doesn't matter.
Literally,
it's not up to you, Edward.
Alice already decided.
This is Alice's world. Welcome.
Yep. He thinks about how Alice already is best friends with Bella, but how Bella doesn't know anything about it yet, and how he does feel a little bad for keeping them apart now. And after he thinks of Alice, his next thought is, what is Bella going to think about Emmett?
Okay, this just proves that he doesn't know Bella very well yet, because you know she's going to love him.
Edward is absolutely certain that Emmett is coming up with some kind of a plan to make Bella feel uncomfortable or scare her. And he decides that, maybe if I tell him that we can have a wrestling match, he'll just not talk to her. He already knows that Jasper is going to be a distant boy for the meet and greet. And Bella's already met Carlisle, so NBD there. And he actually kind of likes the thought of Bella and Carlisle spending more time together, because
don't we all?
If anyone is going to for sure convince Bella that they're all right, it's Carlisle. And yes, we do.
Yep. No, you're totally right, though. I mean, he's the one who's going to, he's the best of them all, as Edward says.
Yep. And then, of course, Esme doesn't care. She just wants to meet Bella. And so it is only Rosalie who is the problem. So Edward's like, fine, I guess I have to go do things before me and Bella actually go over. So I guess I have to leave, and this is stupid. He's still sitting on the floor, and he says that he moved to the floor when Bella began her nightly gyrations.
Excuse me very much.
Nightly.
Excuse me?
Nightly.
Very much?
He said nightly.
Her what?
Stephanie?
Choice of word? Mrs. Meyer.
I mean, we knew it happened on occasion, but I did not realize this was nightly.
No wonder Bella is so embarrassed to have him there every
Literally,
night.
she's like, you hear what when I'm talking?
What?
Hmm.
Choice of word that Emily and I both circled.
Specifically made a circle around.
Yeah.
So Edward, he's been like twirling Bella's hair and just kind of like has his hand in her hair. So he has to like untangle himself so he can leave. But he's really gonna miss her.
Mm.
So he runs home. Alice has taken care of most things. She's getting ready. And so Rosalie is sitting on the front porch, just sitting there. And he knows that Alice didn't tell Rosalie why she should be sitting on the porch. And as soon as she sees him, she scowls at him and goes, "Oh, what now?"
She's the worst. I can't stand her right now.
And Edward just goes over and he's like, "Rose, please, can we talk?" And she's like, "I should have realized this is what Alice was doing. She was just helping you." And Edward's like, "And herself. And herself."
This is all about Alice,
Yeah.
Rosalie. Get over yourself.
So Rosalie gets up and Edward's like, "Please." And she's like, "Fine, fine, fine, whatever." So he asks her on a walk. She's not happy about it, but she goes with him. And so they start running around. And they're specifically running to a spot by the river. And Edward's hoping it'll remind her of the other time that they had a good talk and were not like mad at each other the whole time.
That one time
Once it
50
happened.
years ago.
Yes. And so she's like, "What do you want? Let's stop running." And Edward's like, "I know she sounds irritated, but she's also nervous." So he's like, "I want to ask you for a fave," which is going to be a big fave. And she's like, "You want me to be nice to the human?" And he's like, "Yeah, you don't have to like her, but she's part of my life. And so she's part of your life. And I know you didn't ask for it, but..." And Rosalie's like, "No, I don't want this." And he's like, "Well, you didn't ask my permission to bring home Emmett." And she's like, "But that's different." And he's like, "Yeah, more permanent."
Ugh. I wish that he would just stop trying to convince himself that he's not going to end up with a vampire Bella. It's just more pain for him
Mm-hmm.
in the short run. Because here he
And
is like,
Bella.
it's more permanent when Emmett came because he was dying. I'm not going to be with Bella forever.
Yeah, and Rosalie's like, "Wait, what? What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'm not going to turn her into a vampire. I'm just going to keep her around for a while."
Until she decides to leave me.
And
Until she's so bored with me. She's
of
going to get bored.
course.
No.
And so he's like, she's like, "Well, did you feel harmed when I brought home Emmett?" And Edward's like, "No, you chose well, but can you give me the same respect?" And Rosalie is like, "I can't even look at her. She's too human. And it makes me pissed. When I look at her, I don't see her as a person. I just see a waste."
Rude.
Whoa.
Jeez.
Edward gets a little PO'd by this. And Rosalie notices. And she's like, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean that to sound so cruel. I just can't watch her do this. She has a chance for everything, Edward. A whole life of possibilities ahead of her, and she's going to waste it all. Everything I lost, I can't bear to watch it."
I just can't. It's like I keep having the same conversation over and over again. Rosalie does not listen to me ever. So
Yeah. And Edward's like, "Aha, another piece of the puzzle. I thought that she was just weirdly jealous of the humanity, but there's something else going on." And so Edward does a very slow hand out onto her arm.
he's brave. Can you imagine trying to touch Rosalie?
She allows it. And he's like, "I'm not going to let that happen." And then Rosalie thinks of her version of Vampire Bella, and Edward calls it a caricature.
I'm just picturing the way that Edward describes Bella is how this picture of Rosalie's Bella looks. She's got like great big eyes and they're blood red, right? And then like a tiny little, because in caricatures the nose is small, and then like a great big upper lip and then this tiny little point of a chin, like white, just yeah.
And Edward's like, well, I mean, I get what she means. And Rosalie's like, this isn't what you want. And he's like, no, I want her to have everything. I don't want to take anything away from her. Do you understand? I won't hurt her that way. And she's like, okay, how? How?
Mhm.
How is that going to work? And he's like, well, who knows? I mean, she'll probably get bored of me anyway because I'm 17. So, we might last until she's 23, maybe 25. Eventually she'll move on. And then he's like, eventually she'll move on.
To the end of me.
God.
Sorry guys, Meowboy is far too entertaining.
Why?
It says she's so funny.
She probably got like a piece of litter stuck on her butt for her. Couldn't reach it. She just butt scooted across the whole room. And now she's licking the carpet.
It was really cute.
Her butt fur is so long, you guys. She
I love
can't.
that she waited to come in here and just sat all the way across the room.
Now she's licking up after herself.
Good kitty.
I
Good
cannot. Sorry, you guys had to bear
adorable.
witness to our retelling of that.
I don't keep anything from you guys.
Rosalie's like, this sounds like way too much, very dangerous. And he's like, it's fine, I'll figure it out after she leaves. And she's like, no, that's not what I meant. I don't really like you, but there's literally no human equivalent to you regardless of your age. No one's ever going to be able to compete with you. And she's not wrong.
No, yeah, she knows that it's gonna ruin Bella.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, someday she'll want more than I can give her. He's talking about bedroom stuff. He's talking about a marriage. Because he can give her literally everything else.
That's the only thing.
That's it. That's all he's thinking about. And he's like, you would have wanted more if you were in her position and Emmett in mine. And Rosalie thinks about it, and she's like, okay, vampire Emmett, human me. Could I leave him? Or would I want him to turn me? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah, she can't
I don't
come up
know.
with what she would do.
Yeah. And she's like, but I know what I lost. So even though she herself could not choose whether she would stay human or want to be with Emmett forever, still she's like, but I couldn't be a mom.
Huh.
And she's like, I don't think that Bella will see it that way. The kids these days, they're all about here and now. They don't care about 5 years from now, let alone 50. And then she's like, well, what are you going to do when she asks you to change her? Meowboy.
Emily has to get rid of her cat. That was easy. She just squirted some Febreze.
In her general direction. She
Bye.
hates Febreze. Where were we?
Oh, she was like, kids these days, blah, blah, blah. And then
yeah.
Edward goes, I'll tell her why it's wrong. I'll tell her everything she'll lose. Edward, honey, baby, sweetie, you don't know Bella.
Yeah.
She don't want any of that stuff.
She don't give a fuck.
She wants you. That's it. She doesn't want to be a mom. She doesn't care about being human.
She's good. And so Rosalie is like, well, what word are you going to do when she begs you?
When? Rosalie really gets this, man.
Mhm.
She knows.
Mm-hmm. And so he sits and he thinks about New Moon Bella vision. And he's like, well, I don't really know why she feels that way. What if she feels that way because I'm still with her and not because I left her? And so he's just like, I just won't. I'll refuse.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well,
Okay.
I don't think you're that strong, sir.
I'm not sure you're that strong.
She starts to walk away from him. And he's like,
A discussion over. Goodbye.
yeah, done. Mic drop. But he's like, your life isn't what you wanted, but in the last 70 years, you can't tell me that you didn't have 5 years of happiness. And so she thinks through, and she has lots of happy thoughts that come to mind, all Emmett related, of course. And she doesn't say anything. And he's like, maybe even 10 years. And she still doesn't say anything. And he's like, let me have my 5 years. I know it won't last, but let me be happy while I can be happy and be a part of it. Or if you can't love Bella like I love Emmett, at least don't be mean to her. She's like, I don't know. She's literally everything I want and I can't have. It's really hard. It's too painful. And he's like, I get that. But eventually Rosalie's life will go back to what it is now. Emmett's going to be there the whole time. But Edward would lose his Bella. He'd lose everything.
Edward.
He's like, well, will you try? And she stands there for a second. And she goes, I can try. He's like, all right, well, Alice saw that Bella's coming over today. And she's like, that is too soon. So he's like, well, take all the time you need. And now Rosalie's like, I see where that was going.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, TV. Maybe she isn't strong enough for this. Rosalie runs away back to the house. And so he's like, okay, whatever. Check mark. I think we're good. And then he has to go and talk to Jasper. And he tells Jasper, please just don't crowd Bella, basically. Give her some space. And Jasper's like, all right.
What a weird request. Why would Jasper do anything else?
Literally.
Jasper's not going to go give her a hug. He doesn't. Okay, cool, Edward. Good job.
As if Edward's request trumps whatever vision Alice has had. Alice will direct Jasper. You know, she'll tell him where to stand.
Edward comes up and is like, all right, listen, Jasper, I'm bringing Bella over. I know how you feel. Can you just at least please, like, stay by the newel post? And Jasper is like, yeah, whatever you want, buddy. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever Alice tells me to anyway.
He's like, me and Alice have been going over the blocking all night. I already know where I'm standing the whole time. We're good.
So cute.
He goes and he tells Esme, and Esme is stoked. And he's like, I guess I can't talk to Emmett. Emmett's going to be with Rosalie, so that's fine. And okay, feeling pretty good. So he goes and he puts on some new clothes. And he's like, goodbye, sleeveless shirt.
The way he describes it made me laugh so hard. He's like, though the sleeveless shirt Alice had given me long ago had not brought about any of the miseries I feared, and had brought some pleasures I hadn't anticipated, I still found it strangely distasteful.
Well, yes.
It truly is ugly. Go put something else on.
Yeah, so he puts on like a beige turtleneck and jeans.
So comfy.
And then he finds Alice as he's heading out. And she's smiling and she's like, everything is perfect. And he's like, don't forget about what Bella wants. And she's like, please, I know what Bella wants. Plus, when has Bella ever said no to you? Good point. Interesting point. He's like, well, and she's like, no. Take a look. Roll the visions. And Bella's future is all combed out. There's no more knots. They got some leave-in conditioner going on. And Edward is still mad that Vampire Bella is the prominent strand of hair in the middle, strong as ever. But he still can see Bella at 20 years old and Bella at 25 years old. So he's still got something to work with. And Alice notices Edward being all mad about it. And he's like, that's never going to happen. And she's like, but when have you ever said no to Bella?
Literally. Think of all the times you tried to get away.
Didn't work. Ever.
That was a good song we just wrote.
Thanks. Our new hit available on Spotify. He scowls at Alice on his way out and runs back to Bella's room. Bella is still asleep. And, well, now he's had 1 second away from her, and now he's kind of back to like, well, is this actually what we should be doing?
Dude, she wants to marry you. Get back in that bed with her. He won't, though.
He won't. He goes to the rocking chair. He doesn't want to make any assumptions about how she'll be feeling today.
Oh.
And then he hears Charlie get up, and he's pretty sure Charlie's going fishing. What with his murky but cheerful thoughts that are happening. And Charlie comes in and peeks in at Bella's room, and then he goes downstairs and gets his fishing stuff, and he leaves.
I need a better representation of this room because Charlie's always peeking in there and never seeing this huge white boy. Like, what? He's a cop. I can understand why he's not seeing white people.
Oh, shit.
But, you know what I mean?
I do.
How is he not seeing him in there? He's in the chair.
Maybe Bella's room is like one of those rooms where the closet is like right by the door. So when you open it up, there's like a little hallway. Maybe. So we only can like look directly at her bed, and Edward's like around the corner.
The door.
Who knows? Okay. But as he leaves, Edward hears him open Bella's hood. And so he's like, I gotta see what Charlie did to her truck. And so he peeks out the window and he sees Charlie putting battery cables back on. And he's like, is that really all it would have taken to keep Bella home? Does she not know about battery cables?
Okay, I wrote down, would I ever do this? Because I was like, geez, the chief, that's a terrible thing to do. How could you possibly? And then I was like, I wonder if I would do that. But I think I would. Here's the thing. I don't think that Bella would have known to put the battery cables back in.
I don't think she would have even thought to open the hood.
Yeah, she would have just been like, dang it, my old truck is broken.
Yeah.
Then my next thing was like, there are a lot of things I do now to keep my children out of harm because they're little. But if my kid was 17 and lived basically her whole life on her own without me, I would just be like, I don't know. It's so hard. It's so hard to think of what I would do. I think that Charlie has this like feeling of like, I'm her dad and I have to protect her and I'm the chief of police. And what if she tries to sneak out and she gets lost and like car accident, something. There's everything he's afraid of. But also she's really independent and she's almost 18. So I don't know. I have feelings about it.
It's very weird.
Because I don't think I would ever do that to a 17-year-old kid. But also there are a lot of things that could happen to her. I just think obviously it's not a nice thing to do.
Right.
But I just don't know if I would do it or not.
Yeah, it's weird because they're in a position where they haven't established communication between the two of them, so he feels like that's like the only thing he can do because she's not opening up to him. But
I mean, and she was being super weird.
Yeah.
And he was just worried.
Yeah. It's like she's been alone all day, and the second I walk in, she's like, gotta go to bed, bye.
I know. And
like,
I have like weird feelings because I'm like, my kids are teeny tiny right now, but they both love to write, and so they write in journals. And I'm like, right now I don't feel like reading. I'm like, I would never read their journal. If my parents had read my journal as a teenager, I would have been mortified. But now as a parent, I'm like, can I read a 7-year-old's journal? I'm sure I can, but it's just weird.
Yeah. Let's see. So Charlie leaves, and Charlie leaves, and Edward just hangs out, waits for Bella to wake up, which takes about an hour. And she kind of slowly wakes up, gets mad that it's bright outside, and rolls over. And then she's like, oh, sits up,
My sleepover boyfriend.
can't focus her eyeballs. And Edward's like, what in the heck? I've never seen this happen before. And also, I wonder if her hair always looks like this. Or if, like, it's because of me that she was extra flippy floppy and, like, I've had my hand in her hair
Her
all night.
gyrations were out of control last night.
And so he says to her, your hair looks like a haystack, but I like it. And she's like, Edward, you stayed. Gets up to her feet, can't quite stand up, and then just launches herself at him right into his arms. And he's like, okay, so she still likes me. So he catches her, sits her on his lap. She's like, whoa. He's like, whoa. And he's like, of course I did. And Bella's heart is pounding. And so he's like, there, calm down. And she's like, I thought it was a dream. And he's like, you're not that creative.
Oh, rude. And she is.
But Edward's like, from what I can gather about other people's dreams, they're usually not that, like, cohesive.
Yeah, you never seen a Bella dream.
It's true.
They are future tellers.
Yes. Bella suddenly is like, oh my god, Charlie. And Edward's like, it's fine, he left an hour ago. After reattaching your battery cables, might I add. I'm disappointed. Is that all it would take to stop you? Bella doesn't register this.
It's just a pee.
She's like, my breath stinks and I gotta pee. So he tells her, you're not usually this confused. And he's waiting for her to, like, set him straight. And she's just kind of standing there like, So he opens his arms to see if she'll come back to him. And she almost does, but then she's like, no, I need to go human in the other room real quick. And he was like, oh yeah, that. Okay, I'll wait. And Bella's in and out super fast. He hears her brushing her hair, and he's like, ugh, why is she being so aggressive?
Listen, we cannot all have Ken hair.
So it's only a couple seconds. Bella's back, and she is a cautious approach this time. Walks over to him until their knees are almost touching. And Edward's like, oh, she must be shy again. Maybe she feels the same way that I did when I came back here. And as I was sure was true for me as well, there was absolutely no need for it.
Aww.
So he just picks her up, basically, sets her back on his lap, and he tells her welcome back. And they rock together for a while. And then she notices what he is wearing, because now he has a different collar and sleeves. And she's like, you left? And he's like, well, Bella, I could hardly leave in the clothes I came in. What would the neighbors think?
I'm not going to do the walk of fame. No shame from me, y'all.
Yeah, man.
Nope.
You can tell Bella feels sad about this, and so he's like, I only left when you were super asleep. I didn't miss anything. All the talking came earlier. Bella's like, oh, my nightly gyrations. What did you hear? And he's just like, you said you loved me. And she gets all shy and embarrassed, so she face plants into his shoulder. And she's like, you already knew that. And he's like, yeah, but it's nice to hear it. And so into his shoulder, she goes, I love you. I love you. And he's like, that's so cute. Now that she chose to say it when she knew I was listening. And Edward's like, freaking love. Boring. Wish I
Love
had a
is
different word.
nothing compared to how I feel.
There was nothing left inside me that wasn't entirely about her. And so he just says to her, you are my life now. Now for literally things.
Sorry, I did such a big snort during your beautiful little scene there.
Yeah, boy.
Stop it. Be nice to her. Be nice to Emily.
Yeah. The sun's coming up, her whole room is golden, and they just rock there. And Edward's like, could stay here forever, don't ever need to leave. She's melted body against mine. She probably feels the same too. But unfortunately, you know, she's a human. Gotta take care of stuff.
Unfortunately, she's a human.
So he gives her one more tight squeeze, and then he's like, breakfast time? And Bella, sneaky Bella, is like, a twist, a gasp, a reach of the throat.
A jokey joke.
And Edward is like, what has happened? Where is the meteor? Someone get the president on the line. I'm about to run her to Canada right now. And then Bella just smiles. And he's like, oh. Fun.
Not funny.
She's like, I'm kidding. You said I can act. It's like, yeah, that wasn't funny. And she's like, no, it was very funny. And he smiles at her and he's like, I guess we can have vampire jokes. It's fine.
He's so funny though. He's like, while I was willing to accept a future of bad jokes, I wasn't entirely ready to let her off the hook for this one. Could you settle for a future entirely full of bad jokes?
Of course, that's all. I mean, better.
I want everybody to know that I did settle for a future of bad jokes. You should meet my husband.
So Edward decides he's going to give her a little payback in the form of a over-the-shoulder toss.
He folded her over his shoulder.
That'll teach her to make a joke. He runs her downstairs, plops her in a chair, and so she looks at him and she goes, what's for breakfast? And he's like, I didn't add that to my list of errands this morning. He asks her what she would like, and she can tell that he's uncomfortable, so she's like, it's fine, I got it. Watch me fend for myself. And Edward thinks that her getting her breakfast together is so cute. He's like, she's obviously knows where everything in this kitchen is. Cute. Also, she has to stretch up on her toes to get her bowl and her off-brand Cheerios.
Really cute.
And then she does this cute move where she opens the fridge and gets a spoon out of the drawer at the same time and then twirls around after she gets the milk out and shuts it with her hip.
She hips the drawer closed. She's so cute. I want to learn this dance.
It's a really cute Bella Kitchen dance.
It's so cute.
Yeah, why you have to be acting out always?
Just give me a shake.
And so she gets everything on the table, and then she looks at him and she's like, can I get you anything? And he is an eye roll and tells her to eat. And then she took one bite of an inedible looking slush and chewed quickly. And so she asks him what they're doing today. And he's like, okay, I won't lie to her. So he says, do you want to go meet my fam? And Bella becomes very pale. And he's like, well, I guess if she says no, that settles that. There's a lot of other things we could do. Maybe Alice got it wrong. And he's like, are you afraid? And she's like, yes. But he expects it to sound differently. And also it's weird that she admitted that she was nervous and or afraid. And he's like, don't worry, I'll protect you. It's fine. I mean, whatever. She can decide if she wants to go or not. And she's like, well, listen, I'm not afraid of them, but I'm afraid that they won't like me. And also, do they know that I know that they know that I know?
You know?
You know?
Ugh.
And then Edward is suddenly furious. Because, you know, she is right about Rosalie. She got it. She knows. And he hates that Bella is talking about herself as if she's not the weird one. As if something's wrong with her and not something's wrong with them.
Get used to it, buddy.
And so he's like, yes, of course they know everything. They took bets yesterday on whether or not you would come over.
Imagine telling your girlfriend that. Okay, I gotta tell you, yesterday my family was like, I bet he's gonna kill her. And then half of them were like, nah, let's bet. Let's really do that.
Yeah. And he's like, plus secrets don't really work. I can everyone's mind, Alice sees the future. It's just easier not to. And Bella's like, yeah, plus Jasper makes you feel really good about telling everyone your secrets. And he's like, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. So she's like, so did Alice see me coming? And he's like, okay, so it sounds like she wants to come over, but does she? And also, why does she think that Alice gets the last say in this?
Everybody who meets Alice just knows. It just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And so he's like, something like that. And he gets really upset, and he's like, I wonder if she notices. And so he looks away, takes a second, looks back at her. He asks her if her cereal is any good because it really doesn't look that good. And she's like, well, it's no irritable grizzly.
A Cheerio is bad. I can't imagine how bad an off-brand Cheerio is. And then with cow milk in it? Disgusted.
And Bella sits there, she eats some more cereal, and he notices that she must be thinking about something too, but doubts it's the same thing he's worried about. And so he looks outside at the yard, and he remembers the day where he stared at her while she was reading her book, and then the clouds came and he was having a bad day. And it's really hard not to be remembering of that for him. He kind of starts to get like in a bad mood again. And so he looks back over at her, and he notices that she's looking at him with all that lack of fear still, very trusting, just like usual. And so he's like, all right, I know I can do this. I already proved to myself that I can do this. I gotta just do this. When she looked at me this way, there was nothing I couldn't do. And so he's like, okay, well, I guess Alice was right about this. But I wondered how much of Bella's acceptance was just to please me, probably the larger portion.
Does it matter though?
Right.
It's the same thing as we talked about in Eclipse, where it doesn't matter Edward's intentions of the way he's acting so much as it matters that he's acting that awesome way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same with Bella. It's like either way she's doing it because she likes him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I just don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh. And then he's like, also, I want something out of Bella, but I don't want her to agree just for me. But I can at least, like, tell her that I want it, right? And so he's like, maybe you should introduce me to the chief, I think, probably. And she's like, he already knows you. And Edward's like, yes, but as your boyfriend. And Bella's just like, why?
Bella, you're going to hurt Edward's feelings.
And he's like, well, isn't that what people do? They, like, introduce their boyfriends to their dads? She's like, I don't know. Also, we don't have to.
Bella.
You don't have to, like, pretend to be my boyfriend, you know? And Edward's like, the audacity.
He gets to be super confused and annoyed by this.
Mm-hmm.
It's super confusing and annoying.
Did she think this was an unwelcome chore I was undertaking for her sake alone? And I'm not pretending.
Honestly, Bella.
But then she gets a little like, oh man, well, whatever. And he's like, well, are you going to tell Charlie I'm your boyfriend or not? And she's like, I mean, is that what you are? And Edward's like, oh, there's something I'm not getting here.
Yeah, no, it's super confusing.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I know I'm not like boy necessarily. And Bella goes, I was under the impression you were something more, actually. And he remembers that time when Bella was all embarrassed because she doesn't think that Edward feels as strongly about her as she does him. And he's like, maybe it's just how, you know, boyfriends come and go, but vampires last forever that she's getting at. And so he can get that. And he's like, well, I don't know if we need to give him all the gory details.
Oh my gosh.
So he grabs her face because she's been all looking downy, and he's like, well, he'll need some explanation for why I'm around here so much. I don't need a restraining order. And she's like, are you going to be over here? He's like, yes, and as long as you want me. And she's like, well, always, forever. I'd never leave, actually. And then Edward's like, forever. Will I ever say no to Bella? What am I going to do when she begs me to change her? Oh no. Rosalie was right about one thing, though. When Bella said the word forever, it didn't mean the same thing to her as it did for me. For her, it merely meant a very long time. It meant she couldn't see the end yet. How could anyone who had lived only 17 years comprehend what 50 years meant, let alone eternity? She was human, not a frozen immortal. Within just a few years, she would reinvent herself many times over. Her priorities would shift as her world grew wider. The things that she wanted now wouldn't be the things she wanted then. So he stands up and walks over to her, and she asks him, "Does that make you sad?" And he's like, there's a lot going on here. But she just keeps staring at him, and eventually he doesn't answer her question. He just asks her if she's done eating. And she says yes, and so he tells her to go get dressed. Yeah. So she does, she leaves, and Edward's like, I really needed this me time right now. Really need to get back into the proper mindset. I knew I had a great capacity for ruining even the best moments with my wretched doubts and endless overthinking. What a waste if I were only to have a few years to spend any of them wallowing.
This is the most self-aware Edward's ever been, and it's giving himself the best advice he's ever given himself. It makes me very happy.
Literally, I'm going to put this on my wall.
I literally thought about making a quote of it.
Quote.
It's so good. I definitely loved that so much.
Yeah. He hears Bella doing a WWE SmackDown upstairs again with her clothes.
She's got to find that khaki skirt.
It's not as much as the night before the meadow, but it's close. And he's like, I hope she's really not stressing too much about how she's going to look, because Alice and Esme already love her. The other ones aren't going to see clothes. They're not going to see what she looks like. They're going to see a human was brave enough to come over to our house. And even Jasper would be impressed. So he composes himself by the time she gets back downstairs, and he just has to focus on hanging out with Bella for the next 12 hours. Easy. She comes plopping down the stairs and says, okay, I'm decent.
Do you get nervous about the way she plops down the stairs?
Yes.
2 at a time down? I can do 2 at a time up, but 2 at a time down is just a fall.
This to me just tells me that Bella really trusts Edward. She knows if she accidentally starts going head first, she'll take care of it.
I'm like, how? How do you do 2 stairs at a time?
It's a sideways slow lunge for me for 2 at a time down.
I can't imagine.
It's not cute.
He's so sweet. He goes, as I'd known she would be, she was wearing the blue blouse she'd worn in Port Angeles. My favorite, I suppose. She looked so pretty. I just love that.
And I liked the way she pulled her hair back. There was no way for her to hide behind it now.
Oh my gosh, cute.
He can't help it. He has to hug her. She looks too cute. He has to go for a hug and sniff. And he's like, no, ma'am, you're utterly indecent.
The khaki skirt is,
wow.
Can't even look at you.
What a combination.
The blue blouse is something, but that khaki skirt is another level of indecent.
She kind of pulls back a little bit to look at him, and she's like, tempting, how do I need to change? Is someone going to try to eat me? And Edward's like, the last night she did ask me if I was attracted to her as a woman. Maybe she still doesn't get what kind of tempting I mean. And so he's like, you're absurd. A laugh and a kiss, the forehead kiss happens. He gets an electricity
down the length of his body.
And says to her, Shall I explain how you are tempting me?
Yes, there is no time that we're supposed to be at the house, so please take all the time you need to explain how tempting and why she's tempting.
He takes that hand and those fingers and starts at the top of her back and slowly goes all the way down to her hip. And he meant to do this as a joke, but then he's like, this is not a joke. Does another forehead kiss. He's breathing fast. Her heart is beating fast. She's a tremble. They're so close lips to lips, so he just pulls her head up. There they are, soft and warm, real close. And so, with awareness of the power of the alchemy, he does a lip to lip press.
Oh.
The light out of control, the electricity at an all-time high. He waits for her to take the lead, wants to make sure she's not freaking out. She's being more careful as well. She's very still. She has stopped trembling, and he goes in for a slightly more pressure against her mouth, and he's like, this is getting a little wild. I'm not as in control as I'd like to be.
Still gonna open my mouth though.
I do want to feel how that feels. A mouth opens, and then Bella shuts down.
Hard flop.
Luckily, he can keep her basically in the same position, but her legs are no longer in the chat.
Her head is just lolling back.
Eyes closed, lips white. Edward screams, Bella! And she's just like, who else?
I didn't mean to kill you so soon.
She is a gasp, eyes opened. He realizes it's been a second since he heard her breathing. She gasps again, and she says, you made me faint. She had actually stopped kissing. Or, no, she had actually stopped breathing to kiss me.
I want a no breathing kiss.
Okay, you can have one of that.
Be right back.
He is a, what am I going to do with you? Yesterday I kissed you and you attacked me. Today you pass out on me. And Bella just laughs. And he's like, so much for being good at everything. And she's like, au contraire, you are good at everything. Too good, you may say. He asks her if she feels sick. And she says no. That wasn't the same kind of fainting at all. I don't know what happened. I forgot to breathe. He just thinks to himself, I noticed. He says, I can't take you anywhere. But she's all right. She's doing her deep breathings. And she's like, your family's going to think I'm crazy anyway, so let's go. He does a quick examination. Her coloring's coming back. She's breathing fine. I'm looking at her skin now, though, and he's like, Bella, I'm very partial to that color with your skin.
Those beautiful red cheeks.
Which blush even more after he tells her that. And she's like, okay, stop complimenting me. I'm trying really hard not to think about what we're doing, so can we just go? And he's like, yes, but you're worried because they're not going to like you, not because you're afraid of them. She's like, yep. She smiles at them, and Edward decides to not ask to drive and only just walk her to the passenger door and open it and see how things go. And she gets in with no complaints, and so he's like, this is perfect, very good. She didn't even glare at me.
He kind of gets it, where if you just let Bella, you just let Bella think it's her idea, it works out better. He loses it at the baseball field, but right now he's kind of getting it.
So he drives her to his house. She is a look out the window the whole time. He can tell that she's nervous, and he's wondering what she's thinking that his house is going to look like. And as they drive out of Forks proper, Bella's getting concerned. She looks over at him a couple times, but looks away when he looks back at her.
The way that he describes her looking out the window is the cutest thing I've ever. She's got like hands on the window, like looking out, looking back at him every once in a while. So tight that the tips of her fingers are white. She's so nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Very cute.
She starts a toe tap eventually, but finally they get to the driveway, and she sits up straighter, and it's a long way into the Cullen house. And so he's like, is she thinking that we literally live in the middle of nowhere? Probably. She's getting a little stressed looking. So he reaches over and he touches her shoulder. And finally they get to the house. And he tries to think of what it'll look like to Bella. But Esme has excellent taste.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah. So it's like, I wonder if she'll notice if it looks old to her or if it looks new to her, because like both are true.
Yeah.
But Bella just says, "Wow." He turns off the truck and he's like, "Do you like it?" And she's like, "Well, there's a certain charm."
He tugs on her ponytail for some reason.
Yeah.
I'll never forgive.
He gets out of the car. He goes over, opens the door for her, asks if she's ready. She says, "No, let's go." He tells her that she looks lovely, and then he grabs her hand, which is sweaty and warm and cold.
Clammy.
Clammy, you could say. And he rubs her hand, trying to be like, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine. But her hand is a tremble. So he just takes her right on in, opens the door. He knows what to expect. He sees Carlisle and Esme across the room, standing a little way away from the door to give Bella some breathing space. You can tell that Esme is just as nervous as Bella was, so she's being very still. But Carlisle, he's fine. He's used to it. But for Esme is shy. It's rare that she ventured out alone to mix with the mortal world. A true homebody, she was quite happy to let the rest of us bring the world back to her as needed.
Esme. She's so cute.
I know. So Bella's looking all around, kind of using Edward as a buffer between her and the house. And she gets a hand squeeze from Edward, and Carlisle smiles and waves. No, does he wave? No, that would be weird.
I smell warmly at Bella.
He smiles at her, Esme smiles at her, and so Edward introduces them, and Edward wonders if he notices how proud he sounds. Nope. Edward wonders if Bella hears how proud he sounds. Carlisle moves over very slowly, holds out his hand to shake it. He tells Bella that she is very welcome. And he's like, "Oh, Bella seems comfortable. This is good. She looks confident. Whatever." She shakes his hand. Great.
Bella, the way that Bella behaves in this entire scene is like not Bella. Like she's confident, she's happy, she's calm, she's like, it's really cool. I'm in love with Bella in this scene. She like turns on her like charm and her I'm fine, and it's so different from the way she describes it in Twilight. The way Edward sees it and the way she describes it are so different. Like she's like, I was nervous, I didn't know what to do, blah blah blah, and he's just all he sees is that she's like, "Hi, I'm Bella. Nice to meet you." Like it's really cute.
Yep. So she says, "Nice to see you again, Dr. Cullen." And Esme thinks, "Oh, she's such a brave girl. Oh, she's darling." So then we get the "Please call me Carlisle." Esme comes over then, moving very slowly, and she reaches out a hand to shake Bella's, and she tells Bella, "It's very nice to know you." And then Bella says, "Thank you. I'm glad to meet you too." I'm gonna start crying.
It's really a sweet little time.
Finally, Bella gets a good mom.
Jeez.
Edward goes, "Though the words were conventional enough on both sides, they both spoke with such earnestness that the exchange carried a deeper significance." And then Esme thinks to Edward, "I adore her. Thank you for bringing her to see me."
Edward, thank you for bringing me another daughter.
I love it.
Oh, that's all I ever wanted.
Cute. Edward just smiles and he's like, where are Alice and Jasper? Even though he knows for a fact they're standing up at the top of the stairs.
They're just like around the wall. And they literally jump into view.
Yeah. And so Alice is like, perfect, that's my line. Or that's my cue. And so she says, hey, Edward, runs. Full run right over to Bella, stops right in front of her. And then she gives Bella a kiss on the cheek.
Bella didn't even flinch.
No, she's like,
It's
Yeah.
like we were meant to be.
Edward gives her a look, but Alice is like, this is my moment, leave me alone. I finally get to meet Bella. And Edward's like, I want to be happy for them, but I know what Alice is trying to do here. I know those visions. Alice tells Bella that she does smell nice, and she has never noticed before. Liar. Bella blushes, and all the vampires have to look away, because,
So tempting.
girl. Edward's trying to think of something to do to make it less awkward now, but then suddenly, like magic, there's no more awkwardness. Edward's feeling comfortable. He can tell that Bella's feeling comfortable. And here comes Jasper right down those stairs. Not racing, but not moving cautiously like at Carlisle and Esme either. There was no need for him to put on a show. Everything he did seemed natural and right.
Lucky.
In truth, he was laying it on a little thick.
Don't you wish you could be Jasper sometimes?
Yeah, literally. So then Edward gives him a lick, but Jasper just smiles, and he stops by the newel post.
Good grief.
Leaving an uncomfortable distance between him and Bella, but no one feels uncomfortable because he doesn't want them to. And so he says, hello, Bella.
Hello, Bella.
Even though he'd say, howdy, Bella. He says, hello, Jasper.
He would have said, ma'am.
The tip of the hat. She's like, hi, Jasper. It's nice to meet you all. You have a very beautiful home.
Oh, good job, Bella.
Mm-hmm.
Doing so good.
Esme's like, thank you. We're so glad you're here. And then she thinks again, she's perfect.
This is Esme. Oh, thank you, Bella. We're so glad you're here.
Bella looks over at the stairs again, waiting for 2 more people. But Edward knows that's not going to happen. Esme catches on and knows that that's not going to happen either. So Esme tells Edward through her mind, I'm sorry, she wasn't ready. Emmett's trying to calm her down. So Edward's like, should I say something about Rosalie or not? And then Carlisle's like paging Edward. So he looks over at him and he's like, Alice saw some strangers coming into town tomorrow night, wanted you to know. So Edward's like, got it. This sucks. I guess I can tell Bella now why I'm kidnapping her. She'll get it. Charlie won't. We'll talk about it later. I'm sure Bella will have some opinions.
What is going on? He's going to kidnap her?
Yeah, just a casual kidnapping, you know.
Where is he going to take her?
Wherever she wants to go.
What are you thinking about, Edward?
Wherever.
What's going on, Eddie?
He's going to grab a globe and be like, choose.
I spin you points.
So he looks over at Alice to see if Alice is going to give him anything, but she's just thinking about the weather. And so he's like, whatever. And then he hears Esme ask Bella, do you play? And looks over, and Bella is looking at the piano. And Bella's like, nope, but it's beautiful. Do you play? And she's like, no, didn't Edward tell you he's musical? Bella gave me the strangest look, as if this news was irritating. I wondered why. Did she have a yet undiscovered prejudice against pianists? But Bella just tells Esme, no, I should have known, though. And Esme's like, what did you do to this girl, Edward? Carlisle, he stifles a laugh. Jasper, oh, no. And then Bella says, Edward can do everything, right? Carlisle laughs to himself. Jasper laughs out loud.
That's why Edward and Bella need a chaperone, so that he's not just being weird and convincing her that he's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Why Emmett needed to speak up in the meadow.
Exactly.
Edward, stop, you're being weird.
Let's see. And then he said, we get this line about how Alice was watching the conversation that would happen 20 seconds from now. This was old news to her. She's like, oh, Bella's not talking to me. Let me skip through a couple pages and see what it's
really,
about me again.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Esme gives Edward her best disapproving mother look and says, I hope he hasn't been showing off. It's rude. And he's like, maybe I did throw a tree, but
Stop it.
It wasn't it was only a branch. It wasn't the full tree, Mom. But she's like, he looks happy. I've never seen him this way. Thank goodness he found her at last. Bella's like, no, he's too modest. And Esme's like, well, go play for her. And he's like, but Mom, you just said showing off was rude. And she's like, yeah, but there are exceptions. And then she thinks, if she's not totally hooked yet, then that should do it.
Esme. Mom.
And Edward just stares at her. Bella's like, yes, I'd like to hear you play. And Esme's like, all right. Shoes them over to the piano. And he's like, fine, but I'm bringing Bella with me. And then Edward sits down and he's like, I've never been self-conscious about this before. Then again, no one ever really cared that I was playing except for Esme, and she likes it. But this is kind of scary.
Cute.
So there they are, sitting at the piano together. Bella's a smile, he's a frown, and he's about to play Esme's song. And he's watching Bella out of the corner of his eye, and it only takes 1,000 notes, which for Edward are a few measures, and Bella is a jaw on the ground. Jasper laughs again, Alice laughs, Bella gets nervous, and she just can't stop watching his lack of hands as he plays the piano.
It's just not fair, though.
It literally isn't. Alice heads upstairs, Carlisle heads upstairs, everybody else heads upstairs. Esme doesn't want to, but she does. And Edward's like, that's nice of him to pretend that this is a normal date and that I definitely didn't bring a human over. Bella is still watching the hands. She's such a brat.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to go in the other room if you don't sit. Look on her face, she's so offended. How dare you? Oh.
Bella's still looking at his hands. She's kind of a scowl now, and he doesn't get why. And so he winks at her because usually that makes her smile. He asks if she likes it. And then she does a head tilt and she goes, you wrote this? He's like, yeah, it's Esme's favorite. And then Bella just simply has to close her eyes and shake her head and rock side to side.
Honestly, though, I completely understand Bella right here. It's like not fair when your boyfriend's way cooler than you, smarter, richer, prettier, more talented, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, ugh.
So he says, what's wrong? And she opens her eyes and gives him a weird smile. And she tells him, I'm feeling extremely insignificant. Edward is surprised for a second. He's like, maybe Esme wasn't right. Maybe this isn't the way to really lock her down. But then we get the line Marin read at the beginning of the chapter about how is Edward going to tell Bella that everything that he can do isn't important? He can do those things because he's a vampire, not because he's good at them. And that the only thing that he wants is to be with her. That's all he's been wanting. And that's what should matter to Bella. So instead of talking to her, he decides to play her song. And he tells her that this one was inspired by her and hopes that she can feel how the music came from the very core of his being.
I think it's so sweet. Obviously, I mean, it's the line I chose, but when he goes, "You inspired this one," just like murmurs it, embarrassed,
Mhm.
how do I tell her that this is her song? It's so cute.
It's really cute. So he sits there and he keeps playing it for a little bit, but it changes a little bit out of the minor, now reaching for a happier resolution.
Mm.
And he tells her that everybody likes her, especially Esme. And Bella looks around and asks where everybody went. And he's like, I guess they're giving us some privacy. And Bella's like, okay, so they like me, but what about Rosalie and Emmett? And Edward's like, no, don't worry about Rosalie. I'll handle Rosalie. And she's like, okay, but what about Emmett? And he's like, well, he thinks I'm crazy, but he thinks you're fine. But he's just with Rosalie. And so Bella's like, well, what is it that upsets her?
Well, where to begin?
Edward decides to tell her the least upsetting things in a very nice way and tells her Rosalie struggles the most with what we are, and it's hard for her to have someone on the outside who knows the truth, and also she's a little jealous.
Bella falls over.
Rosalie is jealous of me. And he's like, well, yeah, you're human. She wishes that she was too. And Bella's like, oh, cool. I mean, that makes sense. And she's like, but what about Jasper? And since Jasper left the room and stopped concentrating, Bella can remember the situation correctly and notices how he was standing weirdly far away from her. And Edward's like, oh, that was me. I told him to do that.
It's not personal.
Yeah. And so she's like, but Esme and Carlisle? And he's like, they're happy to see me happy. Actually, Esme wouldn't care what you looked like. She would love you no matter what. All this time she's been worried about me, that I was too young when Carlisle changed me. She's ecstatic. Every time I touch you, she just about chokes with satisfaction.
Cute. So does he, to be honest. What? What?
Girl.
Y'all should see this cat.
Get down.
She's trying to mess with our cords, and so Emily starts shaking the thing, and she just like stops and like looks at Emily.
I still want her to step on the keyboard and like turn the recording off. All right, Malfoy, this was a good run. We're gonna have to go ahead and remove you from the premises. Come here.
Bye, kitty. Oh, she's a meow. Oh, she's not happy.
She's purring.
Oh, well, because you're picking her up.
Yeah.
She did not want to be picked up.
Don't bite, baby.
Poor baby. Goodbye, sweet Meowfoy. Oh, Meowfoy. They all feel bad for her.
Don't feel bad for her. She brought it upon
She bit
herself.
Emily like 10 times.
Literally. Okay. So then Bella goes, Alice seems very enthusiastic. And Edward's like, Alice has her own way of looking at things. And Bella's like, you're not going to explain that, are you? And he doesn't say anything, and she doesn't ask anymore. And so she's like, what did Carlisle tell you before? And he's like, you noticed? And she's like, duh.
And he spent the first half of this book talking about how she notices everything. And now he's surprised that she's noticing everything.
So he tells her he wanted to tell me something, but he wasn't sure that I would want to tell you. And she's like, well, are you going to tell me? Are we going to break up right now over this? And he says, I have to because I'm going to be a little overbearingly protective for a few days or a few weeks. and I don't want you to think that I'm a tyrant. And so she's like, well, what is wrong? And he's like, nothing, but there's just going to be some people in town. They're, curious. And Bella's like, people in town? And he's like, well, yeah, like real vampires,
My kind of people.
And then Bella gives a shudder, so much so that the bench shakes. And he's like, aha,
Oh, finally.
you can be scared.
So, okay then.
She ignores his comment and she does some Bella meditation for a sec, and then she's fine. And Edward's like,
This is Bella's self-soothing that she's been working on for 17 years.
had she processed another waking nightmare so easily?
It's what she
Processed?
does.
No.
Nope.
Concealed? Yes.
Compartmentalized? Yes.
Dissociated? Yes.
Bella.
He's like, well, all right. Bella keeps looking around, and he's like, this probably isn't what you expected. And she's like, nope. And he's like, I wonder what's the most surprising about it. Is it the lack of coffins? And she's like,
Shut up.
I just didn't think it would be so open.
Also, I just wanted to mention, I think it's really nice that Esme thought to turn on the heat.
Oh yeah, Bella doesn't say anything about it being cold.
Mm-mm. She doesn't even mention the temperature, which tells me that it's like a normal room temperature, which you have to turn the heat on for that to happen in Washington.
Yeah.
With the spring that this is happening. So
yeah,
good job, Esme.
I mean, it was Alice, but
Good
she had Esme do it. So. And Edward tells her it's the one place they never have to hide. But while they've been talking, he accidentally let the song go back to its original, which has that sad ending. He's like in the middle part now where it's real bad and how Bella's perfect just as she is, and if he were to change anything, it would be a tragedy. And it's too late, and so he lets it end as it had before with that heartbreak.
Oh, thanks, Edward. Thanks a lot. Needed that.
He goes, sometimes it was so easy to believe that me and Bella should be together, but then I think about it logically, and it's obvious that all I'm going to do is hurt her.
Just nodding so much.
She says, thank you. She is about to cry. She's wiping tears off of that face.
Guys,
and he was like, this
trigger warning. It's the tear lick. Okay, I don't want anybody to be caught off guard.
I think they know. Edward's like, this is the second time. And the first time, I hurt her feelings, and so I couldn't do this. But this time, she's crying because she's touched. And these are tears caused by pleasure. And she's still got that one tear just sitting there right in the corner of her eye. A tiny, clear piece of her. He takes a finger. He reaches out. He swoops it up. He looks at it. He puts it on his tongue. Gives it a taste. Absorbs it.
No! Edward! Stop it, you weirdo!
And then Stephanie at least gives us this paragraph to try and make us not think that we just witnessed what we did.
At least. If you guys want to go back to an enjoyable moment of our lives, go back to when we originally covered this chapter in Twilight, where it was just nothing but me freaking out for about 10 minutes about why he licked her tear, why he ate her tear.
Yep. So this is a confirm. Bella did get a tear lick. She wasn't sure. It all happened so fast. But it happened. It did. Anyway, he tells us about how Carlisle is trying to figure out how vampires work, but because there's no just readily available vampire cadavers around, he can't really do much studying. It's all observation based. His best interpretation is that everything inside of them must work on a microscopic level, and that they are porous.
They're just a big sponge.
They're literally a rock. He says, though we could swallow anything.
That's what she said. Feel free to cut that out.
No. Edward Cullen just told me that they could swallow anything. Anything. He said the word anything. Swallow anything.
Okay.
I'd be like, Edward, can you swallow
This
the
couch.
piano? You just unhinge your jaw and
That computer.
shove it in there?
That chair.
My
cat.
whole body. Can I dive in? Even though they can swallow anything, only blood was accepted by their bodies, and apparently it just like absorbs into their muscles, and they use that for fuel. So once they burn it off, they need to eat again. And nothing besides blood seemed to move through us at all. And so Edward takes some comfort in the fact that he will always be able to keep Bella's tear inside of him, even when he's very sad. He'll always have her tear.
Is there maybe, let's think years down the road, they're married, they're living in the cottage, they're having their time. And he's like, I have to tell you something. And she's like, what? And he's like,
He doesn't say anything. He walks over to their rug, gets down on all fours.
he hacks up her tear. It's so little.
Like,
Yeah.
there's so less from you.
And now that I have you forever, you can have it back.
Should we give it to Renesmee? I don't know. Put it in a necklace.
He's gonna keep that tear inside of him the rest of forever. Dude, he's a weird immortal.
Okay, but like, you know how he eats the cake at the wedding? When he pukes that up, does he separate the tear out and then re-eat it?
Does it have to come out with the tear? Is the tear somewhere else?
I don't know where it would be if not the stomach.
Oh no. It absorbed it.
No, only blood absorbs. Everything else
says right
stays
here.
in the stomach.
I swiftly touched my finger to my tongue, tasting the tear, absorbing this minute particle of her.
I mean, he absorbs it into his being, but only blood was accepted by their bodies. So it doesn't like absorb. He absorbs it, but he doesn't absorb it, you know?
After all this time, I simply still cannot. Paula said, if they can swallow anything, will their body shaped into that thing like an anaconda?
No, it all
He's got,
squishes it.
He has like a piano-shaped lump.
Like, it turns out vampires are movable, but only from the inside.
Incredible.
She stared at me curiously, but I had no way to explain. Certainly you don't.
Absolutely not. This is the weirdest thing you've ever done.
It's like, all right, so you want to see the rest of my house?
Do you think I know she wrote it in her Twilight journal. I'm pretty sure he swallowed my tear. Dear reader, she never stopped thinking about that. I never would stop thinking about that.
She clarifies no coffins, and he's like, yep, no coffins. And so he takes her upstairs without even showing her the kitchen or the dining room. Like, those are the first places I want to go when I go to the house. Like, I wanted some pictures at the family fight table.
Mhm.
Also, Bella loves a kitchen.
Yeah, think of what Bella could do with that kitchen.
Right?
Hey, Dad, come over. I've got this whole kitchen to myself.
Heck yeah. So he takes her upstairs. Bella's looking at every detail of this house, and he's like, does she think I'm going to quiz her later? But he's like, this is so-and-so's room, Jasper's study, Alice's bathroom, blah, blah, blah. And they turn the corner and he's about to go up the next set of stairs, but Bella's stopped. And so he looks over to see what she's looking at. And he's like, oh, you can laugh. It's kind of funny.
It's the coolest house decoration ever.
She's looking at that huge ass crucifix on the wall.
Love it.
And Bella's like, wow, must be old.
I'm sure I said this in our Twilight episode, but I love in the movie how they've got it just like tilted. It's so cool. Oh, it's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It really is my favorite house decoration. Just a big old cross tilted.
It's huge.
I love it.
Edward's like early 1630s probably. And she looks at him and he's like, she says, why do you keep this here?
Good cue.
He's like, well, it belonged to Carlisle's father. And she's like, he collected antiques? And he's like, nope, he was an antique. Carved it himself. It hung on the wall behind where he preached. And Bella keeps looking at it, and she just keeps looking at it. And Edward's like, why does she just keep looking at it?
Once again, honey, she is compartmentalizing all of this information so that she doesn't have to think about it later.
He asks her if she's okay, and she says,
No,
how old is Carlisle?
she's not okay.
And he's like, oh no, this is it. She's going to freak out about Carlisle, the one person I didn't think I had to worry about. And so he's like, well, he just had his 300th, this is his birthday.
How do you think they celebrated this birthday? And why do they keep celebrating birthdays?
Because Alice makes them. Well, actually, yeah. Esme was like, I really want a day for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Carlisle was like, well, I don't know a day. And Esme's like, well, let's figure it out, and I'll run some different birth charts, and we can see which one lines up with you the best and go with like that day, that hour. Sound good? And Carlisle was like, yes, dear, that sounds good to me.
Whatever you want, dear.
And so he's like, all right, so Carlisle was born in London in the 1640s, baby. He was the only son. His mom died. His dad sucked, like majorly sucked. They did hunts for like witches and werewolves and vampires. And he says vampires, and Bella goes,
oh.
Edward's like, yep, they burned a lot of innocent people. Of course, you can't really catch a real vampire. And he thinks to himself, that's still haunted Carlisle. Thinking about all those innocent people his father murdered, and his father made him help to murder. Yikes. Edward's glad that with every passing day, Carlisle forgets that more and more. And so he starts to tell her about the potatoes, and Bella's very interested in all of this. And then Edward gives us a detail he doesn't tell Bella, which is that Carlisle assumes that the only reason that these vampires didn't like kill everyone is because the Volturi simply live less than 1,000 miles away. That's too close.
No, they could have been there by noon.
No, thank you. No Gotham diamonds around these parts.
Those weirdos.
Especially since their laws have been established for a millennium by this point.
Ew.
That's a long
Hence
ass
the
time.
onion skin.
Yes. And then he tells us that it's kind of a sad thing how Carlisle got bit because he didn't get bit anywhere good. A gash in the hand and a slash on the bicep. Wow. So he had a longer transition period, and Edward thinks about how much it sucks, and he's like, no, thank you. We both had the same experience. It wasn't great. Carlisle hung out with other vampires, even the Volturi. He knew that if he were to buy Edward in a better location, it wouldn't last as long. However, he didn't know if the reason that he is the way that he was is because he was bit the way that he was. So he bites Edward the same way in hopes that because he has no idea, but he's like, maybe this will mean that Edward won't just want to kill humans. I mean, he has nothing else to go on, so
Poor guy.
poor Edward, poor Carlisle.
Poor guys.
And he finds out that that's not how it works because when Esme comes, she's already like literal in the morgue. So he has to just bite her actual heart.
And she is the gentlest of them all.
Yes. But he tells Bella more about it, about how he didn't kill anybody. And Edward doesn't tell her some things. And he's like, but maybe I should tell her these things because she obviously wants to know about it. It would be a good thing for her to know, especially if eventually she's going to want to do it herself. Maybe it would deter her.
Tell her.
And then he's like, and then Carlisle realized what he'd become. And he's been watching Bella this whole time, and Bella has been very still, just like a little bit of a curious look on her face, but she's been too stiff. So he asks her how she's feeling, and she says, I'm fine.
I'm fine. Nothing is scary or bad to me.
And so he's like, I'm guessing you have some more questions. And she says, a few. And so, come along. I'll show you. End chapter.
The end.
Lots happened. Wow.
It was really big.
Yeah.
Again, another chapter that probably could have been 3 chapters.
Uh-huh.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It really is.
Very good. Very cool.
Good, cool. This book's not going to be very good or cool for much longer. We're getting into the really awful, much crying portion.
Gosh, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. I feel like I need to start like reading the chapter the day before so that I can be prepared.
I would
And not
highly suggest.
Spend the whole time crying.
I mean, we will be doing that anyway, but having a sleep in between probably is a good idea.
Okay, I'm going to start having Saturdays be my read. It's every once in a while I get a message from one of our listeners and they're like, I'm about to read the last chapter. I'm like, I still haven't. Good luck. Love ya.
Literal good
Tell
luck.
me how you feel in an hour.
In 4 days.
Usually it's like a few hours later I get another message and it's just tears. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't read the rest of this book.
I know. Should we just rip it out?
I quit.
Yeah. What a good book.
Love it. What a good book. Thank you, Stephanie.
Let's start breaking down.
Stephanie.
Wait. Anyway, you guys, thanks for hanging out again.
I know, I love it. I love doing this live because
Mhm.
we get all these cool like comments while we're doing it.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, we podcast live on Patreon. You can watch us. You get all the Meowboy content that gets edited out of the recording.
Yep, definitely stuff gets edited out, but these guys get to witness it all.
It's a lot of fun.
It is fun. I'm trying to think. Oh, there was so much. There were literally 3 chapters in this one chapter.
Know.
Anybody have a remember?
Oh, the tear.
Oh my gosh. Listen to what Cherish said. Edward definitely hacked that tear up, put it in a tiny vial, ate the wedding cake, hacked that up, and then returned the tear to his body by putting the entire vial down his throat.
Oh my gosh, that's so smart. So next time he barks, he can just rinse the vial off and put it back down.
He has a locket in his tummy.
That is literally so smart. Of course he did that. I'm not surprised.
Remember to gyrate. Okay. All right. You want to say it?
No.
I'm going to say it a little differently, but I am going to say it. All right. Oh, well, thank you so much, you guys, for joining us again this week on Remember Twilight. It's really, really, honestly, one of my biggest joys of my entire life doing this podcast. We are grateful for you.
Yeah. See you guys next week with more on Carlisle.
And remember, do your nightly gyrations.
Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Oh my gosh. Don't forget to do your nightly gyrations.
No, because it's too much. It's too much.
Oh
I'm
my
alive, but
gosh.
I'm dead. Okay, I'm going to move this a little bit closer toward me so I can actually see the... Hold on. Now I'm going to scroll up. Needed something to watch / listen to during lesson planning. Thank you, Emily. I'm glad we could be here for you. Looks like the lockdown is going to be till the end of February. Emily, I'm wearing my Huffley shirt too. Hi, Rosie. Yay, first faces I've seen in Arrival quarantine in Princeton. I'm so bored. Hi, Zoe. You just reminded me my laundry is sitting in the machine all wet and everything, but I'm going to go get it. No. Let's see. Hey, Cherish. We're all bored. Welcome. Literally hate it here. It sucks. Everyone needs to freaking be shut down. For real, Cherish.
Honestly.
I had a nap whilst listening to chapter 18 again earlier, so I am ready. Marin, that's what she said jokes, really. Oh, yeah, Cherish. Oh, yeah. Pre-game, yes. In Britain, we call pre-game pre-drink circus prees. It's a fun fact for today. They look so studious reading their books. Studious. No marriage, unfortunately. Unfortunately, indeed. Her nightly gyrations. Gyrations.
No sex.
I don't understand why it's so hard for Rosalie to understand that it's not her life. Yes, thank you. And then Edward thinking that Bella will change her perspective regarding their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, it's so ridiculous, and she just never learns.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look how straight my bottom teeth are.
Yeah, dude.
How did Rosalie sit there and have a serious convo with him while he was still wearing that?
Oh
Oh my gosh.
I bet your
Imagine
house smells amazing.
Rosalie.
Only when Malfoy's acting up.
Bella seems like a Frosted Flakes or Frosted Mini Wheats gal.
Not even off-brand Honey Nut Cheerios.
You know, gross is Cheerios.
Your Cocoa
When
Puffs.
I was a kid, we used to take our Cheerios and we'd make them, and then we would take a scoop of sugar and just pour them all over. I never had enough sugar unless while I was eating it, I could scrape the sugar off the bottom of the bowl. This is how I was raised, you guys. It was the 80s. Maybe a Cocoa Puff. I feel like she would have special care or something to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, sweet Malfoy. Mm-hmm. If they can swallow anything with their body. Okay. You guys are so funny.
The vial. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
My Wi-Fi chose that exact moment to do a massive buffer on the live, but I'm sure it was incredible and can't wait to hear when the episode comes out.
I literally
Yes.
did say, remember your nightly gyrations.
Yes.
Who did that with Rice Krispies? You, like, literally.
Yeah, I got it with Rice Krispies.
Gosh, I'm so British. Cheerios are like sugary cereal for me.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. We're so American. It's Cheerios.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, okay, so I didn't learn until I was well into adulthood that you're supposed to just, like, have a bowl of cereal as part of your breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
No. Like, think of any American who didn't just, like, eat 4 bowls of cereal every morning, and that's their breakfast.
Literally.
My kids still do it. My kids are like, I'll just have 4 bowls of Life cereal and call it good. What are you going to do, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
We got to do our next epi. Come back. If you want. I know.
We'll
We've been here
do
for a
a
long time.
bonus episode right now, so we'll be back in like 15, maybe 30, depends on what happens. What should we talk about, you guys?
Marin's so American her toast is just hot bread with too much butter on it.
Mhm.
Yes, I am.
We're not allowed your cereal in our supermarkets because there's so much sugar in them. It's illegal, and we eat. Oh my gosh. They feed us this, and then they're like, "Healthcare who?"
Oh my heck. One of our British friends said that our snacks are better here. Oh no, she's not British, but she lives in England. She's like, your snacks are better, but I'm like, that's because just everything is just a pure sugar thing. Okay, cool.
All right, if you guys aren't going to tell us what to do on the bonus episode, we're going to do it ourselves. And you know what that means. It's weird. All right, bye everybody. Thanks for hanging out.